They won't tell you to your face, but once you lose control, you've already lost their respect. Not because you felt something, but because you couldn't hold it, couldn't contain it, couldn't master it. They see everything. The trembling voice, the quick reply, the need to be right, the anger that leaks through your words. And with every outburst, you shrink, not in volume, but in value. Let me tell you a story. In ancient Sparta, a soldier once returned from battle, bleeding, broken, furious. He slammed his shield down in the city square and shouted, "They disrespected me." The elder looked at him calmly and said, "No, you disrespected yourself by letting them see your weakness." That was the law of warriors. And whether you like it or not, the world still runs by that law. You don't earn respect by explaining yourself. You earn it by holding your ground when everything inside you wants to explode. Nietzsche said, "He who cannot control his emotions must be content with being controlled." Read that again. We live in a time where outrage is currency. Everyone is triggered. Everyone wants justice. Everyone is offended. But you want power. And power is in the pause. It's in that moment where you feel the fire rise, but you don't let it speak for you. That's where real respect begins. So let me ask you, how many times have you explained too much, only to feel emptier after? How often have you reacted instantly, then regretted it for hours? That's not emotion. That's enslavement. If they can make you react, they own you. But if you can observe without exploding, you win. And the truth is, the strongest version of you is the quietest. Stay with me. You think the war is outside, that people provoke you, that situations make you react. But the real war is within. There's a voice in you, but very quiet, ancient, unshaken. And another voice, loud, frantic, desperate to be heard. The first is your wisdom. The second is your wound. And every time you react without thinking, you let the wound win. Imagine this. Two warriors stand face to face in a silent temple. One is calm, grounded, eyes still like a mountain lake. The other is shaking, fists clenched, breathing fast, rage dripping from every word. Now ask yourself, which one has already lost? Nietzsche once said, "Freedom is the will to be responsible for oneself. Not for others, not for the world, but for your own fire." Because here's the truth. Emotion is energy, but reaction is surrender. The more reactive you are, the more programmable you become. The more predictable, the more controllable. You scream, they smile. You lash out, they win. You break, and they walk away with your power. Jung spoke of the shadow self, the part of you you hide, deny, ignore. But when you suppress it too long, it doesn't disappear. It waits, and when it explodes, you call it anger, jealousy, overreaction. But really, it's your forgotten self, begging to be seen. Let me tell you something no one told you. You don't need to fight your emotions. You need to listen without obeying. You're not weak for feeling. You're strong when you don't let feeling become a weapon. Real strength isn't loud. It doesn't throw chairs or slam doors. It observes, it absorbs, and it chooses when to respond and when to stay still. Have you noticed how some people always seem to stay composed? How they don't flinch, don't rush, don't explain? That's not coldness, that's mastery. And you can build that, but only if you're willing to stop feeding your wounds and start feeding your will. In part 3, we reveal how emotional control isn't just about power, it's about freedom. Because when your emotions stop running you, you finally start running your life. Stay with me, you're closer than you think. They can't respect you if you don't respect yourself first. And self-respect begins the moment you stop letting your emotions run the show. We've been taught that expression equals freedom. Say how you feel, speak your truth, be raw. be real. But Nietzsche disagreed. He believed that strength lies not in expression, but in restraint, in the ability to hold fire without burning the room down. Let me show you something different. There's an old story of a monk who sat in silence for 10 years. Every day, villagers mocked him. Children threw stones, even the priests who doubted him. One day a man asked, "Why don't you speak back? Defend yourself?" The monk smiled and replied, "Because if they can pull me out of myself, then I was never truly within." Now ask yourself, how often are you pulled out of yourself? A message, a stare, a tone, and suddenly you're not you anymore, you're a reaction. But the real you, the highest you, is unmoved. Not because you're numb, but because you've trained for peace like others train for war. That's what Nietzsche meant when he said, "He who fights monsters must take care not to become one." And when you gaze too long into the abyss gazes back into you. So what if you became the one no one can provoke? What if your calm became your crown? That kind of person walks into a room and speaks without saying a word. They radiate control because they mastered their chaos. And people feel it. They respect it, even if they never say it. Here's the truth. Controlling your emotions isn't about faking calm. It's about becoming so whole inside that nothing outside can break your shape. That is power, and that's who you're becoming. Not someone who gets walked over, not someone who's cold, but someone who has trained their soul to stay still in the storm. Final thought, you made it to the end of this journey, and if you felt something shift inside you, even slightly, that means you've already leveled up. You're not like most. You're aware. You're choosing. You're not reacting. You're rising. Own that. Drop a comment. I don't react. I rise. If this message hits something deep, like share and let someone else rise with you.